When the Uruguayan rugby team crashed in the Andes on October 13, 1972, cannibalism helped the passengers to survive for 2 months in the tough conditions. At first, none of the passengers panicked. Most of the 45 people on board were in their late teens and early 20s, members of the rugby team traveling from Uruguay to play an exhibition in Chile, and they screamed and screamed as their chartered plane crashed in the Andes and crashed a few hundred meters. Want to know about it in detail? Well, stay tuned till the end. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will talk about the plane crash that turned survivors into cannibals. Meanwhile, subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon. That being done, let's start with a little introduction. The plane hit the second airbag and fell at a distance, and suddenly, as it descended below the cloud cover, passengers could see a mountain face just 10 or 20 feet away. 7 people on board were sucked out of the fuselage before the plane crashed. 4 others, including the pilot and Parrado's mother, were killed in the collision, and by the time Parrado regained consciousness, 5 other people were also dead, including the co-pilot and Abal, Parrado's friend. There are now 29 survivors alone in the cold of the Andes with no way of contacting the outside world, and with the white fuselage of their plane almost invisible in the snow to the outside world with any lifeguards flying overhead. By the end of their ordeal, almost undetectable 72 days from the start, the total number of survivors had dropped to 16. It later emerged that the survivors had done so in part by eating their dead comrades, and the initial reaction was a protest, but this quickly gave way to appreciation. Their high level of courage and creativity enables them to beat seemingly impossible odds. The terrifying experience is known as the miracle of the Andes. Those who had the strength and conscience to do so immediately began to treat the most seriously injured. They piled up airplane seats to take shelter in the damaged fuselage, where they huddled day and night. They used the aluminum of the seatback to warm the snow and provide a constant flow of drinking water, but their rations were amazingly lacking. One morning, Parrado wrote later, he found himself cradling a chocolate-covered peanut. The first day I sucked on the chocolate slowly. The second day I gently sucked on the peanut, for hours, only allowing me to take a small bite at a time a while. I did the same on the third day, and when I finally nibbled on the peanuts, there was no food at all. At the high altitudes of the Andes, it was only a matter of time before their bodies were completely consumed. They only have one choice. Using a piece of glass, some of the survivors cut thin slices from the butt of one of the corpses and silently began to eat. Some resisted this fateful move for as long as they could, clinging to the hope of rescue. But then they found a transistor radio, and a small group listened attentively to the Chilean news that the official search efforts were over. On the 18th day, disaster struck. An avalanche nearly buried the fuselage, killing 8 others and reinforcing the belief of the rest that they must cross the mountains in search of civilization and rescue. It seemed like an impossible task. None of them were mountain climbers, all were weak, and they did not have the proper clothing or equipment. But there is no alternative. They made a sled, sewed sleeping bag materials, and those who could walk. After weeks of preparation and unremitting effort, the group, first 3, then 2 to save resources, departed west towards Chile. Faced with the cold and altitude sickness, they somehow climbed the nearest mountaintop every 15,000 feet and surveyed the surrounding area. They saw less but more mountains, and a valley ran through them. "We've been through a lot," one of the climbers, Roberto Canessa, told Parrado, the other. "Now let's die together." Desperate and uncertain, they descended to the other side of the mountain and began to stumble along the glacier below, struggling forward but growing weaker and weaker, until on December 18, they heard the rushing water. The next day they saw signs of humans, a rusty tin can, a horseshoe, cow dung, a herd of cows, and finally on the evening of December 20, a man on horseback from the other side of the river. The next morning another man appeared on horseback, this time from their riverbank, and soon they were in a hut, feeding hot food. Chilean police arrived with a group of reporters. The rescue helicopter landed, and when their crew had clear doubts about Parrado's story of climbing and descending, they sent out with him in search of a plane. Violent winds rocked the helicopters, which howled as they tried to climb the mountain. As soon as they passed the summit, strong winds blew them back, forcing them to fly around the mountain and approach from the south, disorienting Parrado, who was always afraid that he would not be able to find his way, see his teammates. Then suddenly he saw black spots on the ice. 2 helicopters touched down, propellers still running, and picked up 6 survivors, prompting a disgruntled rescue team to deal with the rest. So what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update from us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you at the next one. Until then, peace.